All right, you guys saw the title. The answer is yes. Video's done. Hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment, do something, right? What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys again for tuning in to Invoice Factoring Unlocked. As always, I appreciate you guys taking a few minutes to spend it with me. You could be doing something way more entertaining, but here you are checking out my factoring channel. So I do appreciate it. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's getting ready for a nice little 48-hour break before we get back on the grind. No chart for this one. Just going to kind of give a little testimony here about a industry that has blessed me beyond measures, kind of giving me a sense professionally and personally. I think I've done a lot of growing. I've been in the industry since I was 20 years old. I'm 44 now, so nearly 25 years. I just dated myself, and I'm going to want to go ahead and edit that out. My neck is killing me. Going to go ahead and talk about how much this industry has helped me, how it's an amazing career, and talk about two types of individuals that I think benefit from this type of industry. So let's go ahead and get into it. I graduated high school in 1997, and for the first 2 years, did not know what I wanted to do. I know that I didn't want to go to college. I know that I didn't want to go to trade school. So spent 2 years working at Blockbuster Video, refusing to rent people The English Patient, and letting everybody know that Sean Connery's The Rock was an overrated movie. My wife also worked at Blockbuster, and 20 years into our marriage, we still argue about how that probably wasn't the best form of customer service on my end. Fast forward to 1999, I'm 20 years old. I walk into a small community bank in Miami looking for a teller position, and they had none. During the interview, they said, look, we've got nothing in the teller space right now, but we do have this factoring division. Would you be interested? I had no idea what factoring was. I didn't know how to spell it. I didn't know what it entailed, much like my mom to this day still thinks that I work in a factory. I knew nothing about it. What I did know is that I paid $1 an hour more, and I already had a son and was already living out on my own. So I said yes. This is going to be a transparent video in the sense of I was married and had 3 kids by the time I was 25. So I had to find something fast. And even at a young age, I knew immediately that what I didn't want to do is bounce from job to job or not know what I wanted to do professionally. And I guess maybe putting that on a 20-year-old, most 20-year-olds don't know what they want to do. But again, when you got a kid already, and by the time you're 25 and you got 3, you better figure something out. My first experience with factoring was an amazing and absolute blessing. Most factoring companies in this country are not insanely large companies with 7 to 8 to 10 divisions all over the place. Most of them are family-owned businesses that run no different than anybody else. And although I was working at a bank, I was blessed enough to work in a small, intimate group of wonderful people, friends, mentors of mine. But I was exposed to a lot, whether I realized it or not, early on. We had a credit manager. We had an underwriter. We had the factoring manager. We had sales. And we had another individual that was processing invoices just like me. And that's all I did in my first few years in factoring was just process invoices. I didn't come from, some college with a finance degree. I wasn't in sales. I wasn't coming in some sort of underwriting credit analyst capacity. I was processing invoices. I was learning the business. I was learning to match invoices with backup documentations. I was learning to make phone calls and verify invoices. So my skills were growing at an organic level. And whether I realized it or not, I was focused on what I was doing on a day-to-day basis. But even though I didn't understand what they were talking about in the credit department, I was hearing it. Even though I didn't understand what they were talking about in underwriting, I was hearing it. And the same for the management meetings and the same for the sales meetings because I was just around it. A couple years into it, our underwriter, she and her husband, they got pregnant, not with 1, not with 2, but with 3. They got pregnant with triplets. And I think at that point, they made the smart decision that maybe being a stay-at-home mom was going to be the right thing when you got 3 little ones like that all coming at the same time. So a great mentor, friend, and former colleague, Donovan Daly, walked up to me and just kind of metaphorically dropped everything on my desk and was like, you're saying, learn it. And even though that was scary, I think it was the first time I ever saw somebody actually entrust something important to me. Up until this point, as long as, the Titanic was rewound all the way back and placed behind the right cover box, that's all I was ever really asked to do, right? So when he did that, I freaked out and I was scared. And again, I'm this kid that just kind of came out of school, and it's really the first person I'm talking about is the guy that just kind of comes out of school, is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and it's kind of up in the air. You don't know what to do. You got the pressures of maybe having a kid early on, and here's this opportunity in this industry where it doesn't seem like anything is preventing you from climbing and growing. And I know a lot of colleagues of mine that are in management positions now, that own their own factoring companies now, that are at the head of important pieces of this industry, and they started processing invoices. So an industry that's got no limit, that'll allow a punk kid like me with a kid to learn and grow. The other person that I want to talk about is the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur, and we all know them, right? He or she, they're sitting in their bed right now. They're throwing that tennis ball up in the air. They've got 700 ideas going through their brain, but they can't stick to something yet. But like a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't want to go to college. They don't want to go to college. They don't want to go to college, owe colleges $100,000, in debts, and then figure out I'm going to be behind here. And it's just not for them. This industry, if you're a young entrepreneur, maybe not even a young entrepreneur, maybe just an entrepreneur, you just don't know yet what to do. You've got the hustle. You just need that sense of direction. This is an amazing career for you. Not only can this career show you about business, give you that room to grow to where you can start processing invoices, to cash posting, to credit analyst, to underwriter, to portfolio manager. But even if it's not, and I know that's not what this video is necessarily about, but even if it's not something that you stay in for the long haul, this is an industry that will expose an entrepreneur to so many different types of industries, so many types of businesses, show you what all businesses have in common, yet how each business is different from the other one. You might want to be in produce. You might fall in love with staffing. Maybe your father's a cop or an ex-cop and you want to start a security company with your dad. Maybe produce is your thing. Maybe you want to haul trucks, but you don't know how to drive, but you're working at a company like mine, Freight Factoring, right? Where you're sitting there and you're learning, wow, look at all the things that it takes in order to run a successful trucking business. Factoring is going to expose you so much to so many different types of industries that it will organically lead you to what your passion is, or to maybe what you never knew you could do very well. I will say this though, most of the folks that I know that own their own factoring companies, like I mentioned, they're not these college graduates with Ivy League degrees. I have seen a few of my friends who have gone down the CPA route. CPA is somebody that I'm always trying to refer, always trying to build a network with so they can refer deals to us. I have seen plenty of my colleagues that are CPAs show me their books, which are this big, right? That thick. And I asked them, show me how much they speak about invoice factoring. And it's 2-3 sentences. It is 2-3 sentences. So who owns these factoring companies? Your neighbor, your buddy, who is smart enough to understand running credit, buying good paper, and what makes paper turn. The people that own factoring companies, for the most part, are not always, some are, and that's great, but not always. I know an HVAC guy that owns a factoring company. Hell, I know a couple truckers that own their own factoring companies. I know people from other small business industries that got introduced to factoring and said, yeah, maybe there's something here. And they've gone ahead and joined in and become factors themselves. Learning the behind the scenes, if you're an entrepreneur, about how these businesses run is amazing. Learning how to properly document everything, learning how to properly answer the phone and speak to people, and what you need to be asking about in order to get your invoices paid, and how to get an order, right? Credit is a big one. Well, why are we running credit on it? Well, because when that phone rings and somebody promises you the world with that purchase order and they don't have good credit, there's no need to go ahead and fulfill that order, right? Because you don't know if they're going to pay you. So you learn so much as an up-and-coming entrepreneur, that if it doesn't lead you to owning your own factoring company one day, which I hope it does, maybe leads you down the path of an industry you had no knowledge of up until you started working for a factoring company. Google factoring companies around me. Go to the International Factoring Association. Look up jobs in the factoring industry. I am not kidding you. This is an amazing industry. Other than the amazing people that I've met, which is another thing. It's a small enough industry to where everybody kind of knows each other. You know, if you've been in it, 20 years, 15 years, you're known not by everybody, but you say somebody's name and, oh yeah, I know so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. It's an industry that has no ceiling. Doesn't matter where you start. Doesn't matter if you start somewhere where you go, man, I can never get there. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I'm proof of that. And so many other of my colleagues are proof of that. Again, HVAC, trucker, me, all these people, small business owners from other industries, all these people that I have seen come into this industry and have been blessed just like I have. So I hope this video, again, no chart, no real nothing other than me just rambling about an industry that I love, right? That's blessed me, that I've been in since my entire adulthood. And I know that there are others out there that are like me. Yeah, I remember when I started in factoring, and we look back now and we go, man, it's been a hell of a ride. So I kind of want to just leave this video to encourage those future factors, right? Look up factoring companies, get plugged in. It's an amazing industry. I hope this video was a blessing and informative about an industry that I love. Now I'm going to say it for real. If you did like the content, please consider subscribing, please consider liking, and please consider leaving a comment. See you guys on the next video. Enjoy the weekend. Football's almost here. I'm a big football junkie. For those of you guys that know me, I can't wait. Talk to you guys on the next one.